I think this is the worst film I've ever seen. The Borderlands movie does not do anything to seem appealing to any audience. It isn't very faithful to its source material outside of its aesthetics. It visually is very ugly. The writing and acting is way too overperformative and feels like something out of a 12-year-old's journal. And the action sequences have such little weight with how invincible the characters are, and they aren't fun to watch with how poor the choreography is in some areas. Let's talk about being faithful to source material before all else. I do not think it's important to tell the same story that was told in the material that you are borrowing from. I think creatives should be given the chance to do whatever they seem fit for the story that they are telling. The Last of Us show and the Fallout show are my two favorite video game adaptations into other media. They both approach their source material very differently. One aims to tell the same story, but instead of using the strengths of video game storytelling, use the strengths of television. One aims to tell a different story that's set in the same lore-rich world. The Borderlands story aims to tell a story that's different from what we're used to with characters that are familiar to us. That is completely fine and could be great if it was executed well, but it wasn't. The characters themselves seem like caricatures of already existing characters from the games. I do not think the Borderlands games or the Borderlands franchise is known for great storytelling. I do, however, think there are specific characters and specific story arcs that you could borrow from that would be compelling to watch. The movie instead borrows characters from the source material that already aren't super compelling and makes them even more shallow than they already were. And the characters that I'm not familiar with from already existing Borderlands lore after playing all of the games and or characters that are completely original to the film are really bad. The writing and reasons to care about these characters is incredibly shallow. Bobby Lee's character seems to have no purpose to the narrative as a whole. The narrative barely moves as a whole, but before talking about that, let's talk about how the film looked visually. The Borderlands film looks horrible considering the film's budget. There were few shots that managed to make me suspend my disbelief. The CGI is bad. When the movie attempted to be cleverly shot, it only made me question how could the filmmaker's intentions be so different from the outcome. It makes me feel bad for the actors. I refuse to believe every actor in this film is bad. I know some of them are great. They did the best they could with whatever they were given, I'm sure. But holy fuck, the characters were nothing but what I would expect out of an inexperienced 12-year-old's journal. I struggle to find any themes for this movie. There's a bad guy CEO who is in charge of a mega corporation. So maybe the movie is about the problems when capital accumulates too much power. Tiny Tina is a kid who is told she is magic. She then finds out she's not magic, but she's special elsewhere. I guess acceptance would be something to pull out of that. Lilith's story arc seems to be the most well-written thing in this pretty awful story. She comes to accept herself and her past for what it is and was. It's a shame that thread did not have the required exposition for us to care about anything that happened during it. The bad guy CEO character was a horrible character with over-performative, awkward acting that seemed to have no purpose in the narrative whatsoever other than to move Lilith towards her change and give opposition to the protagonists. Tiny Tina's lines were all delivered so over the top that it made me struggle to care about the character whatsoever. And the games do a pretty good job giving juxtaposition to the crazy side of Tiny Tina. The film does not. Everything is so over-performative because everything in this film needs to be funny, or at least that's what the filmmakers thought. These jokes are incredibly shallow, and I could not think of a single joke that's clever from the film when I'm thinking about the movie retrospectively. It's super low-hanging fruit humor. I know the Borderlands games have characters that say stupid things like,
I'm the conductor of the poop train!
but I'm sorry, that isn't funny. And in the film, it's even less funny because there is no serious material that's supplementive to excuse poor behavior. I'm now talking about the movie as if it's a kid. I just said poor behavior. The movie's bad. The seriously taken scenes don't even seem to take themselves seriously. And it's crazy that not even the action sequences are well choreographed. So not only is it narratively very uncompelling, it visually looks ugly, you can't even look forward to action sequences to help you feel like you're not wasting your time. The main characters themselves seem invincible considering the amount of damage they're able to sustain without receiving a scratch. Bad guys refuse to hurt our protagonists when they very clearly are in a vulnerable state. It's very unbelievable. So this joke right here, imagine most scenes in the film being jokes of similar quality without any narrative threads to tie them together, horrible pacing, and a lack of messaging. This movie is really bad. Don't watch it.